We did manage to scale up on the last trading day of the week gone by, as we held on to that 24,768 mark, close to the highest point of the trading day, and for the Sensex as well, a solid 1% up move. And this time it wasn't the broader markets that led, it was the frontliners that did manage to hold out, while the broader end of the market lay low. After falling about 350 points, it's that recovery that was rather commendable. So a 600-point recovery is what we witnessed. And coincidentally, now we're holding out above the 100 daily moving average. The fact that the late recovery was led by some of the heroes within the banking space, so an HDFC Bank at the forefront, for instance, an ICICI Bank as well holding out. You had Reliance Industries that managed to pull its might after being one of the top drags of the trading open, and Bharti Airtel as well on top of its game. You did see the realty index, metals as well as the banks, they were all active in trade. So pretty much a steady gain, Nikunj, coming in for the markets morning. And at least from what we've gone by, we did see that pull back that was pretty evident. I don't think that's going to be the case this morning, though.
See, markets are in a good groove, and the uptrend in the market clearly continues. Now, if I talk about the setting on the table is very simple. We are not far away from an all-time high for small and mid-cap indices. Nifty may be a good 5-6% away from its all-time high, but the fact that where we are positioned in terms of the Nifty level, it is a clear indication that how much are we away from an all-time high. Nifty 6%, Bank Nifty just 2%, and the small cap index about 2%, which means that the two factors which are working for the market are the Bank Nifty and the small cap index. That's the big picture. Then US markets have hit a pause button. And that convergence which we were talking about, that how US markets will top out and they will start gradually drifting lower, and Indian markets will bottom out and they will start inching higher. I think that factor really is that play, which is that how much global markets are off from the high and how much Indian markets are off, how much global markets are off from the high, which means how much they are down, and how much Indian markets are away from its all-time high. That factor, I think, is clearly at play. There you go. Dow's down 2%, 3% from its all-time high. S&P seems to be cracking. Nasdaq also seems to be moving in a similar manner, which is, if I summarize the market setup, things are looking up. FIs are back. Markets have managed to climb the wall of worry. US markets are showing signs of topping out, and Indian markets clearly have bottomed out.
Well, yeah, absolutely. If you look at the global markets as well, they're pretty steady, at least the US futures. While it wasn't the best of close on Friday night for the US equity markets, for sure, they were largely lower. But investors are awaiting the likely Fed rate cut this week. Let's see what exactly transpires post what the dot plot has been indicating. So yeah, that's really the big trigger, the Fed decision which is awaited. And wondering whether the Fed is going to move on a rate cut this time.
It's highly unlikely that Fed comes up with something directional in the last meeting of any calendar year. That's not the policy what Fed has followed. And if one really looks at the policy what Fed has followed in their last Fed meeting, they've kept the path clear for a rate cut in 2025, but they have not committed to the pace or the acceleration. And frankly, from a Fed standpoint, even though you have a lot of other central bank policy meetings, that is not really the biggest moving part. The biggest moving part for the market is no longer what central banks should do, how they should move, and what kind of communication we are likely to hear from them in the short term. I guess in the short term, it's about sentiment, it's about liquidity, it's about FIs coming back. The small and mid cap stocks have gained inertia. A couple of IPOs lined up this week. No calendar event. So no news sometimes is good news, and that is the kind of market we are in. But it is absolutely fascinating to see that the small cap index, which is where all the problem was, which is where all the concerns were, that has come back with a lot of force. It is less than 2% away for the small cap index from an all-time high.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.